Well, welcome to the Mind Switch podcast. I'm Scott Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us. Today, we are very lucky to have a recent retiree to give us fresh out of the trenches view of what retirement has been like. Her name, Chris Clayton. Place she lives, somewhere in Ontario. Chris has been a hockey player. She's been a teacher and all kinds of other things. But first of all, Chris, just welcome to the Mind Switch podcast.
Thank you, Scott. Happy to be here.
That's great. So tell me, I built it up that you have just retired. This is it. So, when did you exactly retire?
Well, I would say my official retirement date was June 30th. However, I did teach online baking and cooking classes, virtual, until September. So I would say 3 months. It's been almost three full months.
So in our world at Mind Switch, you're still fresh blood. You're still in that place there.
I still feel like I'm supposed to get up for work every day.
I was going to ask you, what are some of those things that you feel like? So you feel like you should get up for work every day. First of all, tell us, what was your career of choice for the last, I know you've been in it for quite some time.
So yeah, I've been a high school teacher since 1992. And I had 3 years of supply teaching before that. And it's a career that I feel I'm only realizing now was so structured. Like my day was run by school bells. So for almost 30 years, I couldn't just go and have a coffee or talk to somebody it was just very structured and rigid, but that's all I knew. So I was very happy with that. I've taught high school math for the last 20 years. For 6 years, I taught high school math, science, and phys ed, and then 2 years of grade 7 and 8. So It's been a very rewarding career. Loved it. Miss the kids.
Yeah. I was going to ask, which was your favorite course to teach? Did you have one that you're just going, I've got another section of that each semester, or did it?
Well, every semester our courses switch, and which is kind of nice. I mean, the last 19 years I've been teaching only math. They prefer you to be in one department. I don't really have a favorite course to teach because, to be honest with you, it's not really the course, it's the group of kids that I get.
I don't know if I told you when I went and I've been in teaching as well for a while, and I was teaching in the Peterborough district, and I had just gotten on to a full-time high school, teaching high school, so I had to take what was ever left over, and I got to teach new movie making. And get this one, no one else would teach a co-ed sex ed for grade 9 students. Everyone's just laughing their heads off there. So yes, the students and who's in the class, that really does make a huge difference, doesn't it?
So that was a good initiation for you to get your foot in the door.
Yeah. And well, obviously, it's almost 25 years later, and I'm still involved in that. But, so, you're waking up that first day in June somewhere, and, you're not going to class and you think you should be. You said you missed the bells. What else was different about your life? Just those initial perceptions when you didn't have to go anywhere.
You mean when I retired?
Yeah, just in June, wherever that last day was, and you woke up the next day and then the next day after that. And what were some of the things that you noticed were different in your day?
Oh, okay. So I would say as of September 1st, because I did teach in the summer, and normally we have the summer, like we're not working in the summer. So September, when everybody now went back to work and I didn't. I mean, it's also a little bit more of an easier transition for me because of COVID. I wouldn't have been going back to what I would usually have been doing. It would have been starting from scratch anyway. But that first day, especially the first day of school, I just kept thinking, wow, I don't have to get up and go to work today. I mean, it was just very surreal. Yes. It still is. Every day I wake up and I think, oh, I don't have to get up for work today. And it's almost like every day it feels like a different world. It feels like a different life. It feels just, you're kind of in a whole different place.
You were telling me that when our preamble call to this, that you got to go see what the real world was like, and that you expected everyone else to be at work. And do you remember that conversation we were having?
I do. I almost think because I've been in one building for the last 20 years and then prior to that different buildings, but it almost feels, and I'm going to use this word because that's exactly how it feels. It almost feels institutionalized, where I thought we're at work all day, everybody else is at work all day. So when I go out and I'm driving and I'm thinking, I could not believe that there's a whole world going on outside of what were my four walls.
Yeah.
And because at first I was scared, I thought, oh, I'm going to go for a drive and it's going to be like a ghost town because everybody's at work.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is quite the shock to see that there's a whole world going on outside of that, and that I'm part of that world now.
Yeah. And trying to find your place in it, right?
Trying to find your place in it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's just go back a little bit, not too far back yet, but what preparations did you personally go through? And we're not talking about the financial ones, but for retirement, how did you prepare yourself for retirement, or did you just let it come and bump you out of the seat and then you figured you'd pick it up as you went?
Well, I mean, my family and friends would always say, you're not going to have a problem retiring because you're so active. And I still did have that fear because I loved my job. I loved what I did. I loved the kids. It's actually been a lot easier than I thought it would be. I was afraid that I might get bored, but I think because of the type of person I am, I already started thinking ahead of kind of trying to create my own new routine, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I teach fitness, like I'm a fitness instructor as well. So I was doing all these things prior to retiring on the side. I was teaching fitness classes. I was playing hockey. I was doing like a lot of extra things outside of work that I continue to do. So I was hiking. So I think it's really important that you don't so-called plan for retirement. You should be planning your life for as much of a balance as possible while you're still working.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the key, because now all I do is spend more time doing those things that I was already doing and really enjoying and living in the moment of
Mm-hmm.
those things, and not thinking, okay, when I get home, I've got to cook dinner, I've got to mark papers, so you can just have more time to enjoy what you were already doing. I think that's probably what I would suggest to people who are retiring is, for me, it's not really planning what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's really taking control of what I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And that's so beautifully said, Chris, because that's people spend a lot of time taking a look at the financial picture. And as we're recording this, there was an article out in the CBC this week that says to people, don't retire too early because chances are you're going to outlive your savings. Now, fortunately for you, you're on a good pension plan, so you're always going to have some money coming in. But for a lot of folks, they say, not only is it bad financially, but you get a sense of loss of purpose. You have a loss of social connection for a lot of people, and particularly for guys who can often, go in the den and lone wolf it for a while.
Yeah.
And that, if you don't stay leaning into life, then there's all of a sudden this physical and mental deterioration that come here. So one more question, and I want you to go back into your early days and tell us who Chris is. But, if we were to forecast forward, teaching is a profession of passion. And then I speak of that personally, but I've known hundreds of people who just love what they do. And I still teach at a university, and the subject, I don't care. I just love working with the kids and helping out the kids. The folks are in their mid-20s already. But
Yeah.
what is going to be your new lean in, mentally challenging, growth causing purpose? Do you have it in sight yet? Are you already doing it? What would you think about that?
That's a really good question. And I mean, I've always been, I think, and it's interesting because I've always told my students this, that it's always important to have a passion for something, a drive for something, because that will move you forward, no matter how small or how big it is. I've
Hmm.
always been very, very health and fitness conscious. And so for me, each day, like that I can, get out there and go for a run or a hike or play hockey or, you know,
Hmm.
elliptical. Like for me, it's that being active and having the energy to do it and eating healthy. And I mean, that's the broad purpose for for my growth. Now mentally, so that's the physical part.
Hmm.
Um, and mentally, I try to do a lot of research. I probably will take courses. I love to learn. I love to, read, play chess, like, so I'm just aware of trying to um, maybe, maybe not so much right now because it's early, but in the back of my mind, I know that I will like to have mental stimulation and growth, and that I'll seek those avenues out as I get older.
Hmm. And
Um,
go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, I was just going to make one last point. I think that, and I don't know if you find this, but after all these years of work, and you always think, wow, when I retire, and it always seems like so far away, and you'll be, so much older. And when it's actually here, I'm just so grateful that I can just live in the moment. Like
Hmm.
I don't constantly have to like, and I'm not saying, like some people do wish the years away. But when we're working, we do look forward to the weekend. Oh, thank God it's Friday. Oh, it's the weekend. Oh, and I can get up each day and just be grateful that I can just live in the moment,
Hmm.
whatever that may be. And I
Yes.
feel like that's my growth at this early stage. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to predict where that growth and what opportunities will come up to kind of affect, sort of the path that I take.
Absolutely. And that's always, it's like you read the mind switch slogan is we don't retire, we rewire, which is the process that you're in right now, where you rest, recuperate, and sort of explore passions without the pressure of daily responsibility and routine on you to the same extent, where you can be in the moment. And then you refire. And for some people, that's a few months out. For some people, it's a few years out. But I think that what I'm hearing you doing, Chris, which is you're taking care of your body and your mind, so that they don't, if we don't use it, we lose it, they decay, they atrophy, whatever term you want to put on that. So if you're playing chess and, you're watching, the Queen's Gambit on Netflix and wondering all those great chess moves and things
I
like
just
that.
watched it. Yes.
Okay. Then, then you keep the mind going. So you're going to be ready for some awesome adventures when you are ready to refire. Isn't that the case? So I really am going to watch. I have a feeling there's a part two to this podcast coming up when we touch base with you in a few months or half a year or something, like see where you're
That
going.
will be very interesting.
It would be. Well, and I'm hoping you're open to that, after we're said and done with this. But can you take us back? Chris and I, known each other, not really known each other, known of each other for decades. But I don't know if we've even really talked before, so this is not a canned kind of conversation we're having, because Chris and I have never had these kind of conversations. But tell us just a little bit about the early days of Chris and what, I guess, tell us a little bit how you grew up, but then migrate to, when you envisioned what retirement was growing up, you know, what did it look like to you? So, tell us a little bit. I'm giving you a couple of questions there. Tell us just a little about Chris as a kid. You're playing hockey. That was unusual for the girls in the 70s, not as common as it is today. And a little bit of what made you tick as a youngster. And then we'll get to that second question.
So I think growing up, like when I look back and I look at my childhood, I always seem to thrive on pursuing goals, like even when I was young. And with the hockey, we used to go public skating, and that this coach came and kind of scouted us, and it took him 2 years to talk my mom into letting my sister and I play. But I have to say that changed my life, and maybe it's good, for anybody growing up to already start, like anyone who has kids, or it's good to kind of help them figure out what their passions are, because I think that's what gives you the energy to get through the tougher times in life. So hockey, yeah, we started very young. I'm going to be honest, the only reason I really feel like I went to university is because I got scouted for hockey.
I
really
didn't know that. Where'd you go to school?
Well, I did my, I actually was going to go to McMaster. And then I decided to stay home and buy a car. I got back into U of T, and then I ended up switching and doing my undergrad at York, because the hockey coach couldn't get me back into kinesiology at U of T. He could only get me back into Faculty of Arts, and I really wanted to do health sciences. So I ended up going from really getting scouted for Mac and U of T to going to York. But at that point, I was pretty young. I got married pretty young. I met him at 15. We got engaged at 21, married at 23. So I thought I was just going to stay home and have kids, and that was it. So the hockey, once I got into university playing hockey, then I just started to realize that I wanted a career. I liked working with kids. I applied for teachers college when I finished, and I got accepted right away. I got a contract right away. I started teaching right away, and I wanted to build a career. So I think those early passions just kind of, it's like a domino effect. It just made me want more and greater things, and achieve higher goals.
Could you see the same pattern, Chris, falling out now that you're going into that work optional living, where you make some choices when you retire, like staying fit, active, that it might open up other doors for you along the way?
Well, it's interesting, because I feel like, I think I'm so happy retired, because one thing I think is really, really important is that when you retire, you look back at all the goals you set and everything you've achieved and accomplished. And that's what gives me purpose now, because, I've taught high school all those years. I did my master's degree. I did my principal's courses. I'm a certified nutritional therapist. I'm a qualified fitness instructor, like all these different goals I set for myself. And I look back, and even today, I think to myself, wow, like I actually did all that. I raised my son on my own right from when I was pregnant, had him in AA and AAA hockey, coached all his sports. I just feel like
Bravo. Can I offer you a bravo? That I know you're not looking for it, but I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's I've just always given 110% in anything and everything I've done, and every goal I've set, and I've accomplished a lot of my goals. And so to sit back now, and what did I think retirement would be like? I really didn't know. I was so busy with everything that I was doing that by time retirement came, I just knew I'm ready. Like, I've accomplished all these goals, and I'm ready to sit back and enjoy it.
Okay, and that's fair enough. Going forward, let's say you've had another 6 months or 12 months to rewire, refuel, however you want to call it, and hopefully for everyone who's listening, that COVID is a rear view mirror kind of thing for most of the way we live life.
Right.
Would you ever go back? We see a lot of people go back to their passion work part-time. At this point in juncture,
well, I'm on the supply list with my
Okay.
school board, and I will supply teach a couple of days a week, and
Yeah.
it's really just to keep the connection with the kids.
Yeah.
As far as other things, right now, I guess every day I get up and it's kind of interesting because even, my sister will say, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? What are your plans for the rest of the week? And I'll be honest, I thought I would have to have a plan every single day of what I'm going to do. And I tried that at the beginning. And what I realized was half the time what I planned to do, like I might do part of it, but then other things kind of came into play. And I thought, wow, I didn't expect to do this today. So I do like to travel. So I definitely want to do some traveling. I also have taught fitness classes in 5-star resorts on the beach. So I will be able to do that again, but I won't have to go peak season, Christmas and March break. So I'm looking forward to that. My goals are not to see the world. I'm just not a world traveler, but I would like to do hiking trips and, just travel, teach fitness, supply teach, do my.
I could imagine those first few days where the school bell was not ruling your day, and all of a sudden you're structuring yourself and go, wait a second, I don't have to. For the first time in my life, 12:10 doesn't mean lunch period number 1 or whatever it is.
Scott, it's so interesting because even now, so it's been September, October, November, 3 months. When I make my lunch, I sit here and I think, oh my gosh, like I don't have to. Everything was always a rush. I think also because I did have so many, like my evenings 4 or 5 times a week, I'm at the hockey rink with my son, and I was so busy. But I can actually just make my lunch and enjoy it and get up and have my breakfast and enjoy it. And every day it's almost like it's the first day all over again. Yeah. I wake up like a little kid. Like I honestly feel like I could jump up and down on the bed. I'm like, wow. Like, you know what? The best way I can describe it is I feel like I was in a cocoon. And now I'm free like a butterfly. Like I'm just free. It's just the oddest thing.
I think I speak for everyone who's listening on the podcast, and please jump up and down on the bed the next time you feel it. And you're doing that for us, okay? That would be a fantastic thing. Hey, do you know what a BHAG is? And it's okay if you a BHAG, it's called Big Hairy Audacious Goal. And it's a business term, and so people can have BHAGs too. And really, what it means is, if you didn't have to worry about money at all, and you wanted to go to the biggest thing you've ever wanted to do, no matter what the obstacles were in its way, you just feel really drawn to that. Is there anything in your mind that sort of percolates to the top that I would really like to? And not so much a trip, but just more of a enduring passion. So we have friends who set up a school in Kenya for HIV orphans, and that's their BHAG. That's what that's their sense of giving back. I have another friend who's actually building floor polymers so that kids don't get the things that come out of the dirt, into their feet. I forget what they're called right now, but that's their BHAG. That's what they want to do. Is there anything, it doesn't have to be charitable by any stretch. Some people are starting businesses and, maybe, there's something like that. Is there anything in your mind that percolates for a BHAG? Do you want to be a professional hockey coach or something like that?
I've done so much coaching that I feel like in the last 30 years, like everything I've done, like I've done so much, like I've coached hockey and soccer and basketball and ball hockey. And, I've done so much coaching. I feel like I've given, what I feel like? I've given so much of myself, even to my students, building the relationships. Yeah. Like I've given it all. Like I've given myself to everything and everybody else. And so now, and I'm not saying this trying to be like in a selfish way, but I kind of feel like for the first time, I feel like a little kid again. Like I really don't have a lot of responsibilities. Like my son's doing really well. I feel like I've given of myself to as much as I can to all those around me. Like, and I enjoy it. I really like to do that and to make people happy and to be the best teacher, the best mother, the best person that I can be. And so at this point, I do feel like, and without trying to, as I said before, sound selfish, I feel like, you know what, now it's it's all about me and my time and just getting up and doing whatever I feel like. It might be different too with other careers because my day was so structured and run by school bells. It's almost like not a form of rebellion, but almost like I'm not going to have any structure to my day. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do what, like, I feel like a little kid. I'm going to do whatever I want. This morning I got up, I went for a run. Did I plan that yesterday? No, I had no clue I was going to get up and go for a run today. And it felt good just to do something that's not planned and not structured and not rigid.
I think what you said about where you came from, for everybody, it's an opportunity to rediscover who you are without those routines and habits in place. And so for you and I both, that coming from a structured educational background, that's a beautiful thing. When the bell goes, it doesn't matter because it's not going for me anymore. So,
and it's true. And at the beginning, like I woke up and I thought, oh my God, I'm supposed to be at work. Like it's like, and also because you're a teacher, and even though I would have alarm sets, I'd always once in a while think, oh my gosh, did I sleep in? I'm supposed to be at work. And you've got all this responsibility of a classroom. And, of course, like it never happened.
Did you ever have any of those teacher dreams where you're dreaming that you're supposed to be giving an exam or be at a certain place at a certain time? And, you wake up and go, because that's your worst nightmare, isn't it?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It is. It is. And I feel like I sleep better. I'm happy. I think it's really important, especially as we get older, to invest in your health. So I have the time now to invest in my health, and I do. Like that seems to be my priority. I don't seem to have this long-term, goal of accomplishing something else. I just feel like I'm content where I am, and I'm surprised because I'm a very goal-oriented person, but I don't really have any goals except just I like to get up and just do, but what I don't do is I don't sit around like at home all day, because I know if I did that, I could get like I think we all have the potential to become depressed and to get, feel down. Me as much as anybody else. And either that will control you or you control it. And so I know if I sat around all day, every day, I would be in a whole different place. So retirement doesn't mean you can sit back and watch what's going around you. You still need to be proactive and move forward and live your life, whatever that may be. Otherwise, then we just exist because we have a choice now to do something or to not do something. Previously, we didn't. We had to work.
There's a book by a guy called David Goggins, and it's called You Can't Hurt Me. And his premise is that human beings only tap about 40% of their potential before their mind and body starts, giving them, severe grief on that.
Wow.
And so, the thought is that, yes, when we do retire, we should have purpose, but still that the vast majority of us choose a purpose that vastly underutilizes our potential of what we're doing. And the thought, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, because a lot of people, when you retire, you want some time to yourself. You could be mentally exhausted from the routines, or if you're from a different profession, the shift work, whatever it is, you need time to discover who you are without that identity firmly attached at the hip, right? And so
you're right. That's a really good point. That's the second time you made that point about discovering who you are. And I think people might be afraid of that because you're learning something new about yourself that you don't know. Like I feel like I'm rediscovering myself and learning things about myself that I didn't know because I've never been in this situation before.
One final question too, and I think you were alluding to it before, is, teaching in a lot of professions have a social network that's attached to that. And all of a sudden you get extracted from that. Just any thoughts on what it's meant to you not to have that daily interaction, and what you've done to sort of, help keep yourself in that good balance place?
So I mean, obviously, like Facebook is a good kind of social forum. I keep in touch with a lot of my friends through that. But something else that I've actually made the effort to do is to see those people. Like, okay, let's get together for coffee. Come over for lunch. Like I think I'm making more of an effort to spend time with those friends, and they are as well because we're not seeing each other every day. So even what I usually do is I'll say, okay, you know what, at least once a week, I
Mhm.
make an effort to get together with a friend, whether we go for a walk or coffee so I'm trying to make sure that I still have those contacts and those relationships. You're I don't really feel cut off from that world, even though I am, because you don't have to be cut off from anybody or anything. You have that choice. You have those options. Like nothing has to control you to the point where you feel like you're isolated. Like you can make those choices.
Chris, it's been absolutely beautiful talking to you about this. You've
Thanks. You
got
too
so
as well.
many insights. Okay. Much appreciated. And I look forward to having you back here when you decide you'd like to come back and share us your next chapter.
Oh, well, thank you. And enjoy your elliptical. I just bought one too at the beginning of COVID and I love it.
Well, after tonight, I'm going to try to watch a whole movie while I'm on the elliptical. We'll see how we do.
Good luck.
Chris,
That's nice.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Have a good night.